Great. So yeah, thank you for joining me. My name is Georgia, and I work at Raleigh International, and I'm here to talk to you today about what can be gained from taking part in a Raleigh International programme. So a little bit of background information about me. I first got involved with the organisation back in October 2015 when I took part in a 10-week expedition to Tanzania. So I very much wanted to go and get involved in something during a gap year between college and university. However, I was then the last year to get the £3,000 a year university fees. So I decided to put my gap year on hold because I didn't want to pay £9,000 for a course a year that I could have got £6,000 cheaper the year before. So I put my gap year on hold. I went and did a 4-year course at university, and during my final year, a lot of my friends and family had been like traveling the world, doing amazing things, seeing amazing places, and I just got really jealous of them. So I asked around any organisations that people could recommend, and my auntie actually told me about Raleigh because she worked for an insurance company that insured them. So I went along to one of their information events, found out everything that I needed to know, signed up to take part in a 10-week expedition to complete that once I'd graduated from university. I then came home, started being an alumni speaker at events like this, and then I became the events and marketing officer in August 2018. So I've been doing my job for just over 3 years, and during that time I've been able to do some absolutely incredible things, including taking part in an expedition to Costa Rica as well. So why do people volunteer, whether this is in the UK or internationally? You know, it is an opportunity to travel and learn more about the world, whether that is a little bit closer to home or whether it's going to a completely different country that you've never been to before and experiencing that culture. It's an opportunity to gain skills that will help you in your career, whether it's putting that on your CV to kind of say that you've done volunteering work, maybe you're studying geography, so going and doing something like this would really benefit and look fantastic on your CV, or even if it's just to be able to give examples of things that you've done, you know, when you're in an interview, if they can say, tell us a time when you've been in a difficult situation or that you've led a team. It is an opportunity for a challenge. It is definitely pushing you out of your comfort zone and going doing something that you might not necessarily have experience in before. But it's fantastic for meeting people from all around the world and creating incredible friendships as well, alongside just having some time to think and reflect, you know, making sure that the things that you're doing in your life are what it is that you do want to be doing and taking part in. And it can open up opportunities that you'd never have expected. Never did I think that by taking part in my 10-week expedition to Tanzania that I would be doing the job that I am doing today. And I'm incredibly lucky that I am one of these people that wake up every day and I'm excited to go to work. And like I mentioned before, I have had some absolutely incredible opportunities with Raleigh. So not only being able to go and take part in another expedition to Costa Rica, I get to travel up and down the UK, delivering this talk, attending fairs. I go over to Jersey once a year. I go over to the Netherlands twice a year to talk to young people about our programs there. And just before the global pandemic hit, I was in America for just over 6.5 weeks, visiting 9 different states, speaking to students there about our programs and what it is that they could get involved in as well. And none of this would have happened if I hadn't gone and taken part in my Raleigh expedition. So that's worth keeping in mind when you're thinking about volunteering and what it is that you want to do. You have no idea how it then could go on to influence what you decide to do later on down the line. So if we gain some perspective, when you're 70 or 80 years old, what are you going to wish that you'd done? Are you going to wish that you'd had a high-flying career, that you'd been able to buy a house, that you'd had a family, that you'd been on nice holidays every year? Or are you going to wish that you had spent those summers at university doing something a little bit more different, a little bit more rewarding than maybe just going and, you know, kind of traveling around or going back home and getting a part-time job for a couple of months? What I often say to people is, it's the things that we don't do that we regret. We might go and do something and it might not be the right decision for you, but that's okay, because although it might not have been the right decision, you still learned something from that and grown from the experience. So how do you choose who to volunteer with? So now, probably more so than ever, I think structured programs are definitely the way to go, going with an organisation if it is something like travelling that you're wanting to do, because you know that that organisation is going to look after you and take care of you in the uncertain world that we are still living in. But you also need to think, what are the things that you want to do? What are you wanting to spend your time doing? And what do you want to achieve during that volunteering programme? Do you want to travel and make a difference? Do you want to create sustainable change? And do you also want to contribute towards the sustainable development goals? If it's any of those last three, then taking part in one of our programmes could be for you. And on the screen here, you can see myself. This was me in Costa Rica. Two other people in our Raleigh t-shirts. We've got astronaut Tim Peake and Prince William. And what we all have in common is that we have all taken part in a Raleigh Expedition. But up until this year, Raleigh Expedition was one of the only programs that we did until we did launch Regreen. So Raleigh International have been around since 1984. So we have over 37 years worth of experience behind us. And we are a global youth action organisation. So we believe that young people aged 17 to 24 have the power, energy and passion to create lasting change in the world. We know that you guys are wanting to make a difference. You're wanting to go in and get involved in something. So we provide you with the skills, knowledge and experience to create that lasting change. When we did start, Raleigh Expedition was our programme. But like I said, this year, we also launched Regreen as well, which is a UK programme. So I will start off by talking about Raleigh Expedition because, like I said, it is our longest standing programme. And at the moment, you could volunteer on a Raleigh Expedition in either Nepal or Costa Rica. And it's completely up to you where it is that you're wanting to join us. So what's involved in a Raleigh Expedition? So you can join us on either a 4, 5, 7 or 10-week expeditions. The 10-week is the most popular because you get to take part in 3 different projects that you see on your screen here. Each of them will last for around 19 days. On a 7-week expedition, you'll get involved in 2 out of the 3, again, each for 19 days. And then we also run our 4 and 5-week expeditions. So 4 weeks to Costa Rica. There you'll take part in either a community or an environmental project and take part in a shorter adventure leadership track. If you were to join us in Nepal, you would join a 5-week expedition. There you would take part in a community project and again, a shorter adventure leadership track as well. 4 and 5-week expeditions are just during the summer, and then 7 and 10 weeks are also spring, summer and autumn as well. But for university students who have longer summers, they might want to get involved in one of our shorter programs, or they might even be able to fit in a slightly longer one as well. And I'll start off by talking about track because it's definitely the one that people are either the most excited about or the most nervous about. And I was definitely the latter. When I signed up to take part in a 10-week expedition to Tanzania, I knew that I had to track for 19 days and I was so nervous about the aspects of that. I'd never done Duke of Edinburgh Award. I've never been like from a family that gets up on a Sunday morning and goes hiking. So the thought of carrying everything that I needed on my back for 19 days was quite daunting to me. However, you are in teams of around 12 to 14 volunteers and you're supported by at least 2 volunteer managers as well. And you are navigating yourselves. You are working together as a team to get from A to B. And like I said, carrying everything that you need on your back. But on our longer programs especially, we don't expect you to carry 19 days worth of food with you. So it might be that you're needing to get to a certain location by say day 5, then day 9, because that's where your next food drop off is going to be. And you need to be collecting that before you go again. Trek is all about your personal development. So your team building skills, your communication skills, but also leadership as well. Each volunteer gets the opportunity to be the leader of the group for the day. They'll decide how far it is that they're going to trek that day, when they're going to take rest breaks, where are you going to camp, when you get there, who's doing what jobs like cooking, collecting firewood and water, who's putting the tents up. So there is a lot more to trek than just trekking. And I often say to people, you will make your best friends on trek because you are just constantly walking and talking with each other, getting to know each other as a team. You'll see some incredible sunsets, but you'll probably also see some incredible sunrises as well. So on track, you are having quite early starts. It is up to you as a group to decide when you do want to wake up. The group that I was with in Costa Rica were particularly hardcore and would wake up around 3 o'clock in the morning in order to get packed away by 4:30, 5 and start tracking. And I know that sounds crazy, but what you're wanting to do is make your next camp before the midday heat hits. So the sooner you get going, the cooler it's going to be throughout the day, and then you can get to camp, get everything set up, and you're not tracking in really hot conditions. Our environmental project is currently only in Costa Rica, and 5% of the planet's biodiversity is in Costa Rica, and 25% of the country is a protected area. So there's a great deal of natural resource to preserve. So it might be that you're working in one of the many national parks on an ecotourism project. So that could include creating pathways throughout the parks, making sure that they're easily accessible for park rangers, scientists, researchers, and tourists. But then it also means that the rest of the areas are protected as well. It could be that you're getting involved in reforestation work, so planting of tree nurseries, or you could just be taking part in general park maintenance as well. And this is actually something that I did when I took part in my expedition to Costa Rica a couple of years ago. And I worked in a park called Raleigh National Monument. And in that park, it had hundreds of year old artifacts in it, which were incredible, but you just couldn't see them because they were so overgrown. And the park ranger's only one person. There's only so much work that he can do. So we cleared them, made sure that they were visible. That then meant that tourists would want to continue to go and visit the parks. It meant that then there's income coming into the parks, but it will get reinvested into the park as well. So it is a lot of hands-on work, but then there's also a lot of awareness raising as well. So our typical day would be in the mornings, working on the manual side of things in the parks, and then in the afternoons, we were planning an awareness raising session. And that awareness raising session that we did, we took a whole day out. We went to one of the local schools. We did a presentation for the students on climate change, on the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which is what we contribute towards here at Raleigh. And we also just played different games with them as well. So we did a recycling relay race with the students. We had different materials that they had to put in different bins. It was great because they were learning, but they were also getting really competitive with each other because they obviously all wanted to win. And we also asked them all to bring a plastic bottle to school because we had vegetable seeds that we wanted them to plant within these plastic bottles and then take home and start their own organic vegetable patches as well. We also got great perks of working in the national park. So we camped on the other side of the road to the park. So we were in slightly larger 4 and 5 person tents. So it was a 30-second walk to the park for us in the morning. But it would close at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we got to enjoy it all to ourselves after that. We also got taken on night walks as well, which was really cool to learn more about the environments that we were working in then. And our community project in Nepal is water sanitation and hygiene based. So we are working in the Gorkha region, which was the epicenter of the earthquake back in 2015. And these communities are still struggling with access to safe drinking water. So on all of our projects, we work very much alongside the communities, project partners, governments, non-government organizations in order to achieve the work that we're doing. And the lady that you can see on the screen here is called Sunmaya, and she lived in an area called Rampur, and she was one of the community members that was struggling with access to safe drinking water. And before we went and worked within this community, she would have to get up at around 2 o'clock every morning in order to go and collect water for the day. So like I said, working with these communities, we were improving their access to safe drinking water. So this project could see you digging pits in order to store 8,000 litre water tanks, like you can see on the screen here. You could be digging trenches, which you're then going to lay water pipes in that will then connect from those water tanks that you've just seen to the tap stands that will also be building within the communities as well. So getting involved in all the different aspects. Again, awareness raising is a massive part of this project. You might be going into schools, teaching the 7 steps of hand washing, which we should all become perfectionists at by now. Or you might even be holding menstrual hygiene awareness raising sessions with members of the community, teaching them how to make reusable sanitary products out of household cloth that they already have. This is obviously sustainable, but it also means that they're not having to go to local markets and buy single-use sanitary products. And Maya took part in these awareness raising sessions, and she said that these sanitary products are going to be the ones that she uses going forward as well. So it's all very well and good me saying this is how fantastic our expedition program is, this is all the great work that we do, but we also have the facts and figures to prove that as well. So these are just 3 stats from 1 year. And in that 1 year, in Nepal, over 3,250 people gained access to safe drinking water at their homes just by taking part in those projects that I've just mentioned to you. In Costa Rica, we were supporting the indigenous communities to create businesses which would protect local environments. And when we were running our expeditions in Tanzania, access to toilets and hand washing facilities were built for over 7,000 young people. Like I said, these are just 3 stats from 1 year, and we've been going since 1984. So imagine the impact that we've had so far and what it is that we're going to have going forward as well. And to go on and move on to talk about our new program, Regreen. So this is something that we launched this year. So until recently, well, until yesterday, we had volunteers arrive in Costa Rica to take part in our expeditions. They're back up and running. But this year we've kind of sat and really evaluated what it is that we do and, you know, how our work can happen. And obviously when there's a global pandemic and you're unable to travel, we realised that actually it gave us the time to think we need to also do some work here. And, you know, the climate emergency is happening in the UK as well. So what is it that we can take part in order to contribute and do our bit in order to help change this? So working alongside the Alliance for Scotland's Rainforest and around 20 other organisations, we all have a shared interest in saving Scotland's rainforest. And until we were running this programme, I didn't actually realise that Scotland did have a rainforest, but there's only 30,000 hectare-acres of it left remaining. So we need to help protect it and preserve it, and that is exactly what we're doing on Regreen. So Regreen has 2- and 4-week placements available. A 2-week placement includes a conservation project and campaign training, as does a 4-week placement, but this will also include a remote leadership track as well. So our conservation work, like I said, we are working in the rainforest and the ancient woodlands on a number of different tasks. And our first programme was launched in July, and we've been doing it ever since. So some of the groups that have been out there previously have been removing trees like this one that you can see here that have died from ashback disease. So we're removing them, taking them out of the areas, and then making way for other plants and trees that are native to that area so that they can continue to grow. We've also been doing some work on the coast, so doing beach cleanups, so whether that's removing just litter or fishing nets, but then the teams also did oyster line searches as well, so mapping out GPS locations of where these oysters have been found and then passing that information over to the people who are going to be using that. Other groups have also been removing rhododendron from areas, so this is not native to the rainforest and ancient woodlands, and it grows, it really grows a lot. So we have been pulling it out by the roots and removing it from these areas, but unfortunately it's not something that we just do once and then that's a quick fix. It is something that we're going to have to keep continuing to do until it has completely all gone. So we're going to be doing that and continuing to do work like that. We are also creating these wooden structures that you can see here to protect tree saplings from grazing deer. So previously, you know, they might go and ruin them, but by creating these structures, it means that they can't go into these areas. There was also fencing up for that exact purpose, but some of it's a bit redundant now, isn't really serving the point of why it was originally there. So groups have been removing that, and then they have also been creating stone walls throughout the parks as well, alongside creating pathways. So just like we do in Costa Rica, creating pathways throughout so that people who are visiting the areas have got designated pathways throughout to go, and so that the rest of the areas can remain protected. We're also doing campaign training as well. So it might be that your mornings are spent on your conservation projects, and then going into your afternoons, evenings, you might spend a couple of hours on your campaign training as well. So this can be covering things like conservation. It could be talking about, how to set up campaigns, how things like gender and race come into campaigning. It can be, kind of thinking about behavioural change. How are you going to encourage people who have had habits for years to make a change to them and go and do something that might be a little bit more environmentally friendly? This also ties into the global youth-led campaign that we also launched this year, Action Not Excuses. So who knows, what you've taken from Regreen might be something that you want to then go and put towards taking part in one of our action challenges on Action Not Excuses as well. And then, as I mentioned, on the slightly longer placement for 4 weeks, you will take part in a remote leadership track as well. So we've taken what we've learned from Costa Rica and Nepal, and we're bringing it to Scotland. For 11 days, you're going to trek for around 100 kilometres. Again, carrying everything that you need on your back, again, in your team, so supporting each other as you go along. You will again get to be the leader of the group for the day, so deciding all the decisions that are going to be made that day, working together as a team. And when you're getting to camp, is it clear? Is there flat land? Is there access to water and firewood? Then it might be that you can definitely pop your tent up there as well. And you're going to get to see some of the absolutely incredible scenery that Scotland has to offer. The trek starts in an area called Glenfinnan. It heads over to the Knoydart Peninsula, then on over to an area called Invergary, and some of our groups have even been summiting Ben Nevis as well. We are an international organisation, so we have volunteers come from literally all over the world to take part in our programmes. So we are a UK-based charity, so a lot of volunteers do come from the UK. If you join an expedition in either Costa Rica or Nepal, there will be other young people from that country there. We are also incredibly popular in the Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, Germany, America, Australia. We've had volunteers come from South Africa before, and we also have societies all over the world who also send volunteers. So you could have other people there from Raleigh Hong Kong, Raleigh Bermuda, Raleigh New Zealand. So it will be a really international programme, and this is for both Expedition and for Regreen as well. And on Expedition, you are going to experience different cultures. You're going to meet new people, and whether it's getting involved in different festivals in Nepal while you're out there, or when I was in Costa Rica, for example, in the park that we were working in, it was its 40th anniversary. So we had a big celebration. We had a big party. We had a quiz all on the park. We had loads of schools come and visit, to really appreciate what is right on their doorstep. And encourage them not to take that for granted as well, and to help protect and preserve it, so it can continue to stay there for many years to come. The food is quite basic on our programme, so I'm not going to lie to you and say that you're going to have incredible four-course meals. If you join us in Costa Rica, you're going to be eating a lot of rice and beans. If you go to Nepal, you're going to be eating dal bhat twice a day, every day probably. And then on Regreen as well, it's mainly vegetarian diet. So you're going to be eating lots of pasta dishes, vegetarian curries. Raleigh porridge is on every single programme, but all the food is really filling and delicious, and is exactly what you need when you're going to be working on a site all day. And there's also plenty of fresh fruit and vegetables as well. And because we are a charity, we do like to talk about fundraising targets rather than costs. And these are the fundraising targets in order to take part in our programs. So when you're fundraising to take part in one of our programs, you're not just fundraising for your sole place, you're fundraising for Raleigh International as a whole organisation. And I'll start off by talking about Expedition and what's included in that, because I appreciate they can seem like quite daunting figures. However, it includes so much. So it includes all of your in-country travel. We'll pick you up from the airport. take you back to our office, and then all your different transport to your project sites is included, alongside dropping you back off at the airport at the end. All of your food and accommodation is included. Your in-country travel and medical insurance is included, the specialist equipment that you're going to be using. You'll also receive lots of training as well. So you'll be invited to a pre-expedition training event, what we like to call a PEAT. That is before you go out there. It's a fantastic opportunity to learn more about what you're going to be doing, meet people who are taking part in your expedition as well, and meet your volunteer coordinator who will have been supporting you up until you join the Raleigh Expedition. It does not include your flights, visas, or vaccinations. Regreen also includes kind of everything that I've just mentioned. So all your project equipment, your transport to your different project sites, all your food and accommodation, the specialist equipment that you're using. The only thing on Regreen that you'll need to fund is your personal kit. And we're also putting on a Regreen bus, and this is going to be stopping in London, Birmingham, Manchester and Glasgow. So you'll just need to get to one of those locations to be picked up by the Regreen bus and then taken on over to your project site. So I have taken part in my own expeditions, fundraising for it, and I fundraised the full amount for my expedition, and I got involved in a number of different activities, and we have got so many different ideas that we can share with you. So when you sign up for a Raleigh programme, you'll get allocated a volunteer coordinator, and they are there to help you every single step of the way. So it's my job to support you up until you decide to put in your application to join us, and then they look after you following on from that application being received. They will give you all the information that you need, like I said, on vaccinations, flight guidance, your kit lists, but they'll also provide you with things like fundraising guides, socially distanced fundraising guides. We can send you fundraising materials, so everyone gets a Raleigh t-shirt before they join the programme. You can request to get that early. We have collection tins, posters, postcards, you name it, we've got it to support your fundraising events. Some things that you might want to get involved in are sponsored runs or bike rides, particularly if they are taking part in a programme that's got a trek involved. Might be a great way to get some of your fitness levels up, push you outside of your comfort zone. For example, we had one volunteer who was joining us in Nepal, and in 1 month he decided to run 100k because that is the length of Nepal, and he got people to sponsor him for that. I don't know about your university, but coffee mornings and cake sales went down really well at mine when I was fundraising for my expedition. And we always say to people, right, please give generously, because if you say like give £1 or 50p for this, it might be that people were actually willing to give you a little bit more as well. You might want to get a part-time job and fund some of it that way, or get a permit off your local city council. This is what I did. I got one for a weekend to have a collection bucket in Manchester. Me and my friend did it, and over 2 days we got around £300, which was fantastic. If you are doing events, I would highly recommend doing raffles alongside those events. So like those coffee mornings, selling raffle tickets, and you can just reach out to different organisations, go to your local coffee shop. Can they give you a cake and coffee voucher? We had one volunteer who was working in a hotel, and the hotel donated a 1-night free stay. It might be that you go to a local restaurant and get a bottle of wine. It's fantastic for them, for the publicity and the marketing for them. And then obviously it means that you're getting a free prize as well. If you are wanting to do some things a bit more socially distanced, online quizzes, I personally haven't taken part in one for a while, so it's a great opportunity to kind of get them back up and running. Or if you're wanting to do it in person, then fantastic. You might want to also put your talents to good use. We've had some people who are keen artists and have sold their paintings. We've had some people who are into their photography and have put together calendars and sold them. Or it might be that you're, a great guitar player. Can you hold guitar lessons with people or do an online yoga session? One thing that I would recommend is getting in touch with your local Rotary or Lions clubs. These are organisations made up of community members and have pots of money that they're able to donate and support young people within their community from. So I took the advice of my volunteer coordinator. They recommended that I went and got in touch with a Rotary club. He said, you'll just have to do a quick presentation on what it is that you've done to fundraise already, what you're going to be taking part in, and they'll give you around £100 to £200, which I thought was fantastic. So I went along, did a presentation, and my Rotary Club gave me £500. So when you're fundraising, very much them in the mindset of, if you don't ask, you don't get, because if I hadn't gone to my Rotary Club, I would still have been scraping around for that £500. I tell this story at every event that I do, and an alumni that I now work with, she heard me tell this story. She went to her Rotary Club, and because no one had been to them that year, they gave her £1,000. So that is a massive chunk to go towards one of our programs if you are wanting to get involved, which is fantastic. So what are you going to gain from a Raleigh International program? You are going to gain leadership, not only from your trekking aspect, but whether it's, getting to be the leader on your conservation projects, your community projects, or your environmental projects as well. And it's great to be able to say to future employers that you've led a team, especially if it's a team of 12 to 14 volunteers trekking in, say, the foothills of the Himalayas in Nepal. There's not many people who are able to say that they've done that. Teamwork as well. We've all got experience in it, whether it's working on projects together at college or university, whether you're in a sports team, but there's nothing quite like it when you know that you've got 9 tap stands to build in a remote community in Nepal, and you need to pull together as a team to make sure that you achieve that and you get the job done. And also self-confidence. I've always said that I'm a pretty confident person, but definitely by trekking for 19 days in Tanzania, I very much came away with it and was like in the mindset of, if I can go and do that, I can literally go on and do whatever it is that I want to. And friendships. These friendships are incredible, because the great thing about taking part in one of our programs is that everyone that is on that program has got similar interests. They're there for the same reason, and they are friendships that will last for life. I'm still in touch with people that I went to Tanzania with 6 years ago now. And when I was in America last year, I met up with someone that I hadn't seen since we left the airport. And it was like nothing had ever changed. It was so nice to reconnect with her. And I saw someone last weekend that I went to Costa Rica with as well. So these are friendships that will last forever. And it is also a change in lifestyle, whether you are wanting to experience a new culture or kind of go back to basics and just have a different way of living, then it's a great opportunity to do that. And who knows, maybe you'll discover some new passions. I studied fashion communication and promotion at university, so the communication and promotion side is very relevant to my job. The fashion side isn't so much, but by going and taking part in my Raleigh Expedition, it confirmed to me that I wanted to work in the charity sector and I wanted to go and do something just like that. So who knows, it may influence you in that way as well. So if you want to find out more, if anything that I've said to you today has made you think, that sounds really interesting, it's definitely something that I want to do in my summer, then what I'm going to do in the chat box after this is just send you a link in order to complete an online Microsoft form. Then we can just send you over a little bit more information about our programs. Even if you're sat there thinking this does sound great, but it is nothing like I've ever done before, I was the exact same. So don't let that put you off. If you think it's something that you would enjoy, then I'd absolutely recommend finding out more information about it. And here is also my email address. Like I said, it is my job to support you up until if you decide that you do want to take part in one of our programs as well. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. So to conclude, volunteering can open up opportunities that you'd never have expected. Like I said, never did I think that I would be going on to work for Raleigh International after completing part in my programme, and I am so glad that I did. They've given me so many fantastic opportunities. So remember, what it is that you get involved in volunteering wise, it then could go on to influence your career. And volunteers have reported that taking part in our programmes raises their aspirations, builds their confidence, helps develop character and resilience, enhances employability, broadens their horizons and outlook, will inspire further volunteering and active citizenship, and also supports better academic performances as well. So not only is it fantastic work you'll be going and getting involved in, but there's lots of things that you'll benefit from the programs as well. And I will leave you with this quote. So what we most want is a little bit outside of our comfort zone. I often say to people, we can sit in our comfort zones and go through our day-to-day lives and it's fine, but we don't really grow or learn or develop from that. by pushing you out of your comfort zone, that is where you're going to grow and learn and develop and learn new skills and really just be able to push yourself and, you know, like I said, go and discover new things that you might not necessarily know that you were interested in before. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope I've been able to give you more of an insight into what it is that you can get involved in with ourselves, or, you know, just volunteering and what opportunities it can open up for you. If you do have any questions, please do let me know. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Georgia. That was amazing. Thank you. That was so good to see all the different elements and how it kind of all works. Great, super, like so exciting. Such cool opportunities. Amber and Sharon. Sharon, I know you joined the call when we'd already kind of got going. Have you got any questions that maybe because you missed out on the first part? Is there anything in particular that you'd want to find out?
Hi, Emma. Hi, Georgia. Thank you so much. Basically, yeah, I joined in late. So if you could please just do a run through maybe about where it's taking place. I didn't quite catch the talk about the fees. Yeah. So if you could just run a talk through the fees, the venue, when. Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So our expeditions take place in Costa Rica and Nepal, and it's up to you where it is that you'd like to join us. And you can join us for either 4, 5, 7 or 10 weeks. So I'll just hop back to that slide. Bear with me one moment. So 7 and 10 weeks takes place spring, summer and autumn, and more so for kind of people who are taking gap years. And then we also have our 4 and 5 week expeditions during the summer as well, which are incredibly popular amongst university students for wanting to come and get involved in something during the summer, something a little bit different, because I know you guys have quite long summers, and we have had volunteers who are at university taking part in 7 and 10 week expeditions as well. So there is always the opportunity to get involved in slightly longer ones. A 10 week, you'll get involved in the 3 different opportunities. So community, environmental and an adventure leadership track, each of them being for 19 days. A 7 week, you'll get involved in 2 out of the 3, again, each of them being for 19 days. And then our 4 week expeditions run in Costa Rica, and they involve either a community project or an environmental project and a shorter adventure leadership track. If you were to join us in Nepal, we don't currently offer an environmental project, so it would be a community project and again, a shorter adventure leadership track as well. With regards to the fees, we are a charity, so we do talk about fundraising targets, and they will include everything from your in-country travel and medical insurance, specialist equipment that you're using, food and accommodation. So what I often say to people is you can go on a Raleigh Expedition, for example, with next to no money and you'd be absolutely fine. But we recommend maybe taking around $200 on a 10-week expedition, whether that's to buy snacks. So if you want to get chocolate bars or sweets from the local store to then give you a bit of a sugar boost when you're on track. Or even if it's to buy Raleigh merchandise as well. So we sell like t-shirts and hoodies and things like that out in our from our offices in each country as well.
Thank you very much, Georgia.
No problem.
And I can see, Georgia, you popped a link to a form in there. So what will that do if the students click through to that? Will that come to you?
Yeah, so it's just a quick online form. It's just you kind of agreeing that you're wanting to find out a little bit more information. So we just send over a couple more kind of like newsletter style emails, just providing you more information on our opportunities available. This link is specifically just for expedition. So if you are wanting to take part in Regreen, then you can always email me and I can send you the link to kind of tell you more about that program, which I will get back up on the screen there, or any just questions that you have following on from this. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'm a bit like, wow, that's a lot of information to take in, and then I go away and I'd be like, oh, I forgot to ask this question. So please do note down my email in case you have that situation and you want to get in touch. I'm always happy to hear from people as well.
And I think sometimes, like as students, sometimes those fundraising targets can seem quite scary and they can seem quite high. But like as George said, she's there to support you with your fundraising. And similarly at Subu, we're here to support you as well. So Raleigh are one of our charity partners. So we're not just going to say, hey, sign up and do this expedition, and we're not going to help you fundraise at all. So we can help book you space on campus, we can help you kind of network with other students, we can help give you ideas and things like that as well. So please don't ever feel like, oh, I don't feel like I could ever raise that money, because we can help you out a lot with those things as well. So yeah, are there any other questions from Amber or Sharon, or has that kind of covered everything for you this evening?
Is it all kind of you sort out yourself rather than like a university trip, like a set date then? Yeah.
Yes, so we do have set dates. So you would need to, for example, on Expedition, you'd need to arrive in either San Jose in Costa Rica or Kathmandu at the airport by a certain time on a certain date. We will then pick you up from the airport. You'll know who we are because they're in Raleigh t-shirts there to collect you. And then you are on the programme for however long it is that you've decided to join us for. And then we will drop you off at the airport again at the end. And ultimately from that, it's up to you what you want to go and do. So some people will travel home. Some people will go and travel afterwards. And that's something that I did in Costa Rica. And I cannot recommend it enough. When I went to Tanzania, it was just before Christmas and I wanted to come home and see my family and my friends. And then all my friends who I was on expedition with in Tanzania went and spent Christmas on the beach in Zanzibar. And I got really jealous of them. So when I went to Costa Rica, I said to work, please can I book some annual leave afterwards and go and explore. So whether you want to do that independently, and I did, or whether you then speaking with people who are on your expedition and you want to go and travel afterwards, then you might be able to find people who are wanting to do that. But we'll also put you in touch with people not only from obviously Bournemouth University, but other people that are going to be on your expedition as well. So we put on a Facebook group that you can request to join, and there you'll chat with people that are going to be taking part in your expedition, and it's a great opportunity to meet them at the pre-expedition training event as well that I mentioned. You can get chatting with people and finding out what flights people are going to be on. You might want to book the same ones that you can all kind of travel together. Or it might be that some as well, say for Costa Rica, for example, I had to fly via the US. So it might be that you're maybe on the first leg of your journey on your own, but it might be that you then meet other people in an airport before flying onto your final destination.
Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, so finally, I just got one last one. So when is the closest, or when is the next expedition up?
Yeah, so the next expedition that you can apply to take part in is from February, which I don't think would work with your holidays. So the next one that might be best for you guys is the summer, and they start around the end of June. Regreen is also going to be starting in April and will be taking place in the Easter holidays. So it might be that you'd want to join Regreen then. And again, we're going to be running them throughout the summer up until the end of, the last one going out is around the beginning of September. So you could then join us, well, any of them really, because it might work with your Easter holidays or your summer holidays as well before either returning to university, or if you're in your final year, going on to do whatever your next steps are.
Lovely, thank you. So yeah, thank you very much, Georgia.
Thank you.
Really, really useful. We will share the recording afterwards as well. If there's anything that you've missed that you kind of want to go back over, you've got Georgia's email there as well. And then I will just pop mine in the chat if there's any questions that you want to ask from the Subu side of things and our charity partnership with Raleigh. And anything, if you've just got any kind of niggling questions that you want to ask, then yeah, you can absolutely pop me an email as well. But for now, if there's no more questions, then I will say thank you and I will stop the recording, she says.